Death Note is the name of a book. If you write someone's name in that book while thinking of their face, they'll die. It's almost like it's physically possible to tell more than one story with that as the central premise. Now, I do think Adam Wingard went a little bit too far when he completely erased all traces of the Death Note anime from existence, and rounded up all the physical copies and threw them in a wood chipper and... What? Wait, he didn't do that? Wait, you mean to tell me that it's still on Netflix? And all I have to do to watch the anime is move my wrist that much farther? Well, since my overwhelming physical prowess affords me such a luxury, I can examine this movie as though it didn't ruin my entire life. Now, don't fret, I'm not trying to suggest this is a great movie. In fact, I have several serious complaints about this movie myself. Just like someone who, might have reviewed a movie at some point in the past.
As far as we could tell, there was never any kind of indication that Light was buying these apples.
I'm not sure. You definitely wouldn't be able to make an assumption like that based on how he talks about Death Note. But luckily for you, I won't be complaining about how the characters had the same names.
It's pronounced Ryuk.
As different characters, fulfilling different roles in a different story. Well, okay, one of the characters has the same first name.
I know that you're Light Turner. I already knew that.
Yeah. You knew that you know my name?
So it'll all be more meaningful than saying Speed fucking sucks. That bus didn't even hit an iceberg. I know that might sound like an exaggeration, but the stories are about that different. Does this mean the movie would be better if the characters had different names? Like Timmy? Or Johannes Gutenberg? No. But it would invite less comparisons to the anime, and more people might actually give it a chance.
That's not Light. That's not fucking Light.
In fact, the absolute worst part is when the movie goes out of its way to crib a scene directly from the anime.
I'd like to start by speaking with Kita.
After I directly confront the culprit.
And that's L's, shall we say, press conference with Kira? In the anime, that scene was amazing because we learned so much about each character. We learned what L's impressions of Kira were.
What you're doing right now is evil.
We learned that they're right. In the movie, you learn that L is a stupid asshole who bases his whole investigation on a wild-ass assumption.
We know that he wants to kill me, but is unable.
But the movie doesn't treat L like he's an idiot.
What if you're wrong?
They treat L like, oh, he guessed right and we're all just supposed to be cool with it.
Then, James, I'd be dead.
Equally likely explanations for the way things played out in the movie is that Kira is unwilling to kill someone just for trying to arrest him.
We don't kill innocent people, Mia, even if I wanted to, which I don't.
Or that Kira simply wasn't watching TV at the moment.
For all we know, Higuchi might not even watch that program.
So if that scene is the reason you hate this movie, then you are correct. Good job. Or, you know, if you hated the acting, that was pretty bad too. I mean, Shea Wingham was alright. And they drill in the exposition really, really heavy at times.
A kid in your situation, losing your mom the way you did.
Oh, alright.
If I was a cop and some guy ran over my wife, I'd be pretty pissed off.
Okay, yeah, good to know, good to know.
Some asshole killed my mom.
Okay, I got it.
You think about your mom, Light.
Jesus Christ, are we done with this subplot yet? Or writing down Watari worked? Seriously? I mean, I can gather from context that his name's not still Quillish Whammy, but you expect me to believe he doesn't have a last name? Ugh. Oh, it actually does make sense that he didn't immediately die because Light only wrote...
Atari becomes obsessed with revealing the true identity of the detective known as L.
Not that he actually manages to do it. So through
Dealer's choice,
Ryuk could have specified that Watari died before revealing the name, because it's been established before that Ryuk doesn't want Light to have the book.
Let me find it a new home. We'll be free of each other.
And I don't mind that they gave Ryuk this much power and this drive to see things turn out his way. If you're willing to accept that this is a very far-removed story from the anime, you'll have a much better time. Even considering things like...
I'm gonna put your name in it!
There are 4 letters in my name. Most anyone's ever gotten were 2.
Oh, come on, movie! You're not even trying at this point. So yeah, this movie does have its problems. And just because I'm in the mood to defend it, doesn't mean I hate the show or anything. Nobody would feel that way unless they did something drastic like watch the last 12 episodes.
Is the notebook on that thing?
Wow. So beautiful. But I have other reasons for liking the movie too. Like the way they handled the FBI agents was better than it was in the anime.
We'll write the names of all the other agents in the Kira task force, placing each of their faces in his mind as he goes.
Really, once he got his name and face, he didn't need to risk this public confrontation at all. He could have stashed a page somewhere and used the Death Note to have him write down the names accordingly. I mean, come on. Light Yagami knows that the Death Note has the power to make people write before they die. He used that exact power to give L information that ultimately led to him getting caught.
What if he can also determine the actions in the moments leading up to death?
When Light Turner made people write before they die, it served as a red herring for the investigators.
But the name is an intentional misdirection.
I mean, it didn't work, but at least he tried. But I take issue with all the people acting like everything that's different from how it was in the anime automatically has no value. That's just reductive. It also has pretty unfortunate implications about however much whoever said that thinks about the things they say before they say them. You want a repeat of the 8.5 good hours of Death Note in less than 2 without cutting or altering any of it. Well, that'll make everyone sound like chipmunks!
Wouldn't it be interesting if Kira was my dream? That's impossible. I admit I find it hard to believe as well. There's no reason for Kira to have seen his own crime when he can kill from a distance. Well, maybe he was...
And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't a one-to-one adaptation from one visual medium to another worthless? We've already seen the story of a super genius with a god complex.
Someone has to do it, so why not me?
Getting the powers of an actual god. Now we get to see the emotionally driven counterpart to that story. And some would say that story is bad. Because nobody would ever want to see a horny dumbass kill people they saw on TV in order to get laid. I am so glad that a super smart show like Death Note would never resort to such quantifiably terrible writing. I'm sorry, I'll stop. But to me, it was cool to see a character making bad decisions lose because of them. And it's foreshadowed from the very beginning that he's playing with forces beyond his ken.
If you were to beat me up, which I'm sure you could, it would technically be child abuse.
Because the guy who punches him for being a smartass is named Ken. I don't know, I thought it was funny. But Light Yagami would have never made a mistake like that. He would never have stepped in to defend some nerd. He would have done something cold and calculated, like kill his girlfriend, or disown his most loyal follower.
I don't know this guy!
Or lead on a yandere for several years. Wait, that's not smart. But then it comes back at the end of the movie, when you're like, oh, he thought he did a smart thing, but it wasn't smart enough! Because after all his elaborate plans go off without a hitch, L is still just able to take his revenge. And it's cool, because there's an important story-based reason that the page L finds at the end has the rules written on it. So does the main character being this brash, impulsive, emotional kid make the story worthless? No, because the changes to the source material were all in service of the new story they were trying to tell. And in the movie, L has this really deep familial bond with Watari that is only slightly hinted at in one scene of the anime.
What's wrong?
But does making the relationship a bigger part of the plot rob it of all possible value? No, because the changes are integral to the new story they're telling. So are we really unwilling to watch different characters act in a different story? In the movie, Kira's an idiot. This isn't some 25 episode long game of cat and mouse. It's like an hour and a half of a couple idiots fucking around with the Death Note.
Stop fucking around with the Death Note.
Is that really what you think we're doing?
Al gets it. He's no dummy. He goes right up to Light to tell him what's up. And it turned out to be my favorite scene in the whole movie. And yes, I'll explain myself. I know I sound crazy, but hear me out. So after the FBI agents, have a grand old advertiser-friendly time, Light loses the trust of Ryuk because he doesn't want Light to trust him. He wants him to give up the book because he thinks Mia's more interesting.
I don't like this one, Light. She has wonderful ideas.
And he has a falling out with Mia because she tried to write his dad a thank you note on the expensive stationery. And he's understandably cornered and starts looking for answers. And that's when he's confronted by L, which is pretty dumb because there's no way that the real L would have ever revealed his identity to the prime Kira suspect.
I want to tell you I'm L.
Yeah, okay, I'm really sorry, I'll stop this now. Everyone in this movie is overconfident in their own intelligence, and it costs them. Light is as vulnerable as he's ever been at this point, so he turns to the one guy who he thinks wants real justice.
Can I ask you something?
But L only wants to win the game.
You know that as well as I do. There are no draws in this game.
And he's so confident in his ability to corner Kira that he throws away this opportunity to meet him halfway. He uses this odd metaphor.
You're the one who flew into the sun. I'm just here to make sure you actually burn.
Wait, do you mean Icarus? That's not what happened to Icarus. See, it's all subtly off, but there's a clear acknowledgement of how off it is in the way the story plays out. He's supposed to fall, not burn. L messes up telling a story about the folly of hubris only for his own hubris.
Get me the New York field office. Now!
To directly cause the death of his best friend or mentor or father figure or whatever Watari was to him.
You have managed a strong move.
And then he cracks and loses it. And it leads to a car chase and a parkour scene. And it's all delightfully goofy. Did he fall? He fell. No, really, he like slipped on something? And there's no way he recovered his balance from this position. Like, they used a take where he fell. What were we talking about? Adam Wingard makes campy schlock. And that's the best kind of schlock. And it doesn't mean that the movie's flaws should be minimized. But maybe when the movie resorts to physical comedy, it's not a sin.
I don't have a pen.
Look, this is funny. And yeah, I know it disappears between cuts. Shut up, nobody asked you. I mean, there are other worthwhile touches, like the top hat. The top hat is great. They use it to pass notes without getting caught. Light uses the distinctive silhouette to slip his escorts more easily. It's even Chekhov's gunned in.
I wore an actual top hat.
The stockpile of illegal papers comment is a fun little euphemism.
Is that one of them?
And all the plot points seem purposeful. Like, a thing they changed from the anime is that touching the Death Note doesn't let you see Ryuk anymore. Only Light can see him.
Only the keeper of the note can see me.
And that means that Light had to kill Brody in order to prove he was the real deal to Mia. Or like, the interaction with the Kira worshipper?
This man is Kita. In order to capture and eliminate...
Now, the end does actually confuse me a little, because there are some mixed messages here, but if you've made it this far into the video, you're probably willing to come with me on this journey. And no, I don't think that Light's master plan was too smart for him to come up with on his own. So Light writes this.
Mia Sutton is killed when she accepts the death note from her boyfriend.
And you might have noticed that Mia has this character 180 after Light offers her the death note.
Now give me my fucking book, okay? I love you so much.
Mia here looks surprised after she takes the book.
What?
So, what Light wrote down made Mia become his girlfriend when she wasn't before.
Are you kidding me?
Which implies that Light was unaware that she was manipulating him the whole time. Isn't that some shit? But where this falls apart is that he had to give her the book before midnight, because she had to be the one who burnt the page with his name on it.
If the person who writes a name destroys its page prior to the death being carried out, the target will be spared.
So I never understood this exchange, where he tries to like save face with the girl who he just killed in order to survive the night.
Ryuk, I take it back! I take it back!
What was that for? If it didn't go down that way, he wouldn't have been cleared as a Kira suspect. And secondly, oh right, he'd be dead. But then, I Don't Want to Live Without Your Love by Chicago starts playing, as if to say, guys, if you keep complaining like this, they're gonna make a Full Metal Alchemist movie in February. And then you'll have something to complain about. Okay, look, if there's one thing you take away from this video, please, let it be this. Synecdoche, New York sucks! 1 out of 10! Charlie Kaufman is a hack fraud!
There's so many fucking rules.